Hi everyone, and welcome to the TheTribblerPodcast. This is the 5th episode of the TheTribblerPodcast, and today we have a different setup in the studio. As you can see, it's all about men today.
Thanks,
in the studio, I'm accompanied by one and only AB Young, and AB Young will be now the co-host of the TheTribblerPodcast, and this is the guy. You know him. He's been here, and
no, I appreciate that, man.
Our previous podcast went well, and people liked the previous one.
I mean, I liked it. I think if I liked it, then I'm really just grateful for the love. I think and the reception. Obviously, we've been, like I said in the beginning, talking about doing it for some time, and we actually did it, and we're just grateful for them.
This is our home, man. This is our home.
100%.
Let's do it. And on my right side. This is about Jake. I don't know. I don't want to get the name wrong.
I'm gonna get it. So right now we got our homie. That funny story. I actually met today.
2 days. Today, a couple of hours ago.
So we're just like started vibing out. Homies find out that we actually lives here in the place where the studio is. So we're just like pull up, man, just see how it was about.
Let's do it.
And then man, we've got our homie Liger Jack.
Yo, what up to everybody?
So shout out, man. Shout out. How you doing?
I'm Ocho. Once again, thank you for everybody for letting me shout out, letting me slide through and actually being part of this show and meeting up. And this is only like something which I never expected in my entire life to actually happen.
Sure.
You know, coincidentally, I love doing some sort of podcast. However, actually meeting somebody the particular same day and actually getting to be on it, and it gotta be a miracle, man. God works in mysterious ways, I gotta say.
100%.
Yeah, man. So let's go.
Let's do it, man. The platform is all ours today. So today we're discussing Black Friday.
Right.
We're discussing Christmas.
Right.
And we're discussing the New Year.
Mm-hmm.
Let's dive into the topics. But before we go, I need to say this. Theoretically, Africa is free. Practically, Africa is still colonized. Mm-hmm. That is an opinion that comes from my researches through Black Friday, Christmas, and New Year. That's my opinion, and we can dive into that along the journey. So let's have the opinions on what is Black Friday before we step into what is Christmas and New Year.
100%.
How do you guys understand?
I'm gonna start with you, Jack. I mean, what do you understand about like
Black Friday?
Yeah.
Okay. To be super honest with you, I understand two things about Black Friday: the now part of Black Friday and the before part of Black Friday.
Right.
Before part of Black Friday, my dates could be wrong, but back then, when we were still known, our ancestors, our black people, when we were still known as slaves, the words which they proceed to use on us, there was a specific day whereby they would sell most of us to these huge European countries, these huge people. And in the 1951s, thank you for that, I appreciate it. Shout out once again.
Shout out.
Black Friday history, the earliest known to use of Black Friday in such context of after Thanksgiving. The system where workers calling in sick for day after Thanksgiving in order to have 4 consecutive days off because of not having yet a commonly offended or paid day as an employer. Yes, that's another way which people used to look at Black Friday. Another day which is just off beforehand. And the other way of people using us is in superior or selling us into these European people when they got us through. And now Black Friday is known to be a new way of us having to sell our things out there at a much more lower price, which most enterprises does do. That's most about it. Prices do drop.
I want to ask your guys like this though, right? Do you guys think that Black Friday is almost like a way that the white man kind of like keeps himself, the authority over the black man to know that, look, you're gonna go crazy over this day because I'm gonna lower the prices almost like remotely.
Facts.
And you're gonna just do as gonna go crazy. Do you think it's that when it comes to that?
Yes.
I'll probably disagree. I tend to disagree. I honestly think, because if you see, they say Black Friday is an American day, which is a day after the Thanksgiving day.
Right.
So I've done my researches. I've checked that The Thanksgiving Day is a holiday in several European countries, including America and Canada. So it was celebrated on the fourth Thursday of November. So the day after Thanksgiving will be called the Black Friday. So I honestly don't think it was imposed on Africans by anyone, but Africans instead adopted the concept and the idea of Black Friday from the Americans. Because if you check, it's not every country in Africa that is celebrating the Black Friday. It is some few countries, including South Africa, that are celebrating Black Friday. So it was not imposed. We adopted the concept of Black Friday. But it has nothing to do with Africa. It has nothing to do with the Europeans. It is a day that was celebrated. It is a day after Thanksgiving in America. So I don't actually.
Why do we have to be affected by it though? Because we don't celebrate Thanksgiving as well. I mean, we don't. What is Thanksgiving as well? I mean, it's not even mentioned in the Bible.
It's not. It's nowhere near.
Yeah, you make mention of these countries, of course, Canada, America. You think these countries are Christian, right? Christian countries.
But
they mention these things coming from. We're going to talk about Christianity. We're going to talk about Christmas right now.
Yeah.
Where we're going to.
That's why I said.
Yeah.
That's why I said. Theoretically, in theory, Africa is free. But if we have to go into practical, Africa is not free. Africa is still in that mental slavery. Ask an African, what is the Black Friday? It is now a public holiday. Maybe not, but it is a holiday. Maybe not a public holiday in almost half of African countries. And then we ask ourselves, do we understand the concept of Black Friday, where it comes from and why it is here in Africa? Because it was adopted, I think, as you have said, by the business enterprises and by people in business to ignite the idea of consumerism amongst the poor people. So on Black Friday, they will take down the sales. That's where they make much of their profits, because now we are into festive seasons. Yeah. So when they lower the prices, the black people or the poor people are actually going to buy. So that's where have you ever heard of the thing called the herd mentality?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not quite of it, but can you explain it?
Natalie, do you mind just check the herd mentality?
Kind of like doing what most people are doing, kind of.
So, and there's another question to use.
So the herd mentality refers to the tendency for individuals to conform to the behaviors, attitudes, or opinions of a larger group, often without critically evaluating or questioning them. This can lead to collective mindset that prioritizes fitting in over independent thought or rational decision making. So if you have to ask people who went to shop on Black Friday, why are you here individually? They have no reason. But because it's a holiday, because everyone else is going to buy on Black Friday, then we have this chaos in the malls whereby everyone is shopping.
No, but I think everybody goes because it's a bit cheaper, isn't it? I think when they obviously subsidize on some of the prices.
that is the herd mentality.
It cannot be a herd mentality, because it is a mentality whereby things are precisely cheaper. So instead of calling it a herd mentality, things are cheaper. Is it in the mentality of our head that things are cheaper, or for us to be there?
You might actually see that things are not actually as cheap as they are portrayed. Maybe they will take the prices high on Thursday or on Wednesday, and then you see another price on Thursday, and then on Friday they will slash and say it's now on sale. But you might find that the price that was costing that item you are buying was the same price that you're buying it now. But because you have been made to believe that now it's on discount, now it's on sale on Black Friday, now you actually believe that it is actually cheap. Some of the products are cheap. I'm not saying all of them, but most products are not cheap.
Okay. So
what do you think is the out though? I'm gonna ask you, Jack, bruv. You know, in terms of what do you think is the out of this economic strife? Obviously, we can see that we are still very much under economic, decline in terms of the black and to the white population in terms of, economic success. And of course, we're giving these things Black Friday as like a joke. I think it's a joke because I think if you
insult African people,
what do you think is the way out of that? And I think in a global, let's say national, and then we can move continental kind of solution to the economic strife, do you think? And what do you think is the problem, or do you think is the solution?
Well, firstly, With the term Black Friday, I think it was a way of them putting it out there for everybody to notice. But I feel like there is, in many ways, which people still do it, but it's not used in the certain term of Black Friday. Let's take it as this small example, which I was chilling one day with my uncle. He was like, there's his own company happening there. He does some welding and stuff, which is nearby a town in Worcester where he stayed. So in this town, right, in Worcester, there's many wine farms, many people does like winery things and all of that. I asked him, why is there so many big trucks coming through into town right now, especially on a Friday morning? He's like, these are all workers of the farms. On a Friday, they get free transport to come into town and purchase what they want.
Right.
Do you know why? If you can answer that question for me, you'll be the smartest person alive. And then I was like, what? What is he saying? He's like, do you know why? And I thought for a second, I'm like, why is he giving them free lift? I mean, it would be quicker for them to come back and then they'll work again. It's like, no, it's weekend. They'll be off. Think again. It's like, I gave up. And then he's like, all right, come on, it's easy. They work on the farm. Their weekend is off. It's just time for them to give so they can go take their money, spend it on alcohol, and get drunk throughout the weekend. Monday, they'll be back for it, working for the same money, for the same routine.
Right.
So that's what I see with Black Friday. It's near the end of the year. Before the end of the year, most of us will be serving. Come January, most of us will suffer from January disease.
Yeah, for sure.
Most of us suffer from many different things which come through. Even some of us, we even start a new year with our life. New high school, new work, new whatsoever. Afterwards, you start saving, you start keeping your mind up. And that's just a way to draw us back down and try to use us and utilize our spaces and get us out there. That's what I think of Black Friday by now.
Right.
But honestly, I don't think that we should blame someone to say Black Friday was imposed, because we are adopting. No one is going to force anyone to say, leave your house, go and buy. No one is saying to African countries, if you don't take this day as a holiday, we're going to give some sanctions on you. No one is saying to any company that if you don't give your workers this day is a half day or is a holiday, we are going to face some penalties. It is a thing that has been agreed upon by the people who are going to purchase,
Right.
which are the poor masses. If the poor masses understands that the Black Friday is actually against them because it wants to what can I say? They are being forced somehow to squander their money because we are now stepping into festive season. So they are going to overspend. They are going to do an impulse buying because most of these people, they're going to buy things they don't need. If you ask someone, are you going to buy some clothes on Black Friday? Ask them, don't you have clothes? They do have. But why are you buying clothes?
It's cheaper.
So we cannot blame anyone for that. We should actually blame ourselves for participating in this Black Friday because no one is forcing us to go and buy.
So is it a problem that we want things cheap?
It's not a problem that you want things cheap,
So
but it's a problem.
We're smart shoppers, isn't it?
It's much okay. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
We just,
Let's thank the big brands for introducing the smart shop idea, right?
Right.
So okay, we have discussed Black Friday. We have discussed Black Friday in this origin. So Black Friday is not an African thing. It has nothing to do with Africans. It was not imposed on Africans, but as Africans, we actually adopted the culture of this day.
I mean, you can also argue, of course, the slavery kind of history towards the day as well. You can also argue that because, if you, of course, it seems too much of a coincidence that it lands directly on the same timeline.
Yeah, but even though it has something to do with slavery, it was not forced on Africans. It was not imposed. No one is putting a gun into our heads and say, "Hey, celebrate Black Friday." No.
Yeah.
People are actually choosing to go in numbers.
I think also it's just a way of the. I think like I said, I think what I suggest, like I think white man just saying that, hey, I'm still very much in control, and look, I can just turn down the remote whenever I feel like it.
And
this part of the year, I'm gonna do just that, and you're gonna go buy and go crazy.
No. We cannot blame the seller for selling their products at a cheaper price on Black Friday. We should actually blame the one who is buying. You cannot blame someone to say, I'm selling this cup, this is 30 rand, and you say, okay, it's cheap, I want to buy it. Do you blame me for selling a product? No.
We're not saying people mustn't go buy my brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not saying that. But like, people must go. It's cheaper, right? But just go in the morning, guys. Just go in the morning because it gets full there.
It's too much.
And it does.
Yeah, just go early in the morning.
So let's step into the idea of Christmas. I think that's where we're gonna spend most of our time discussing. What is Christmas? How do you understand Christmas? Because Christmas is everyone in the beginning of the year is looking forward to Christmas. That's where the family meets. That's where the longest holiday of the year is, and that's where most people have free time to meet with families and friends. How do you guys understand Christmas?
I think for me, I have a very I don't know, maybe very pessimistic approach to the understanding of the concept of Christmas. I think, I think not really negative in a sense that in the pessimistic sense, but I think in a sense that like we all just like are given this one day, we will just do like that one thing. So for example, we've got one day we will show our lovers that we love them, and that's Valentine's Day, right? We've got one day we will celebrate the youth that struggled back in the last June 16. We've got one day we will celebrate women, and that's Women's Day. We've got one day we will spend time with family, and that's Christmas. We'll go, you know what I'm saying? So it's almost like, why can't it be Christmas every day? You know, it's like, why can't it be, you know, why can't it be like that? And I think Christmas is just like, I don't know. I don't really celebrate Christmas because I don't think it resonates with the Black identity. We spoke about identity a lot in the past episode, and when you look at the culture of it, and I think the origin, you really just find a very white, kind of holiday season, and it's not for us. Imagine telling your kids that there's gonna be a man that's gonna enter through the chimney in the middle of the night and give you presents.
Who is this wearing red with a big weird beard?
Hey, come on, guys! Like, who is this man?
What's gonna happen? That's a bit too extreme.
So it's like, for me, telling my kids that, and as opposed to me saying, "Hi, kids, we are spending time now. I love you, and I am going to give you this because I love you." Because this, not to say Santa Claus gave you this. You're working all year. You give Santa Claus the credit.
By the way,
which one is this?
As well, where did Santa Claus come into being with Christmas?
Honestly, I would be lying if I say I have an answer, but
where I grew up, right? Okay, it could be different with everybody else's culture.
Yeah.
With my culture, Christmas was a day which I knew that Jesus was born. Okay. Not to say Jesus was born precisely on the 25th, but it was the day which we celebrated the birth of Jesus Christ. Yeah. Birth of the Messiah, birth of somebody who came to give us new life. And as soon as I got a bit older, because every Christmas time, it would be nice when I was a kid. You go to church, you probably act out the scene. Somebody will be the baby Jesus, this and this and this. The older we got, things started changing. Now we sing a red man in front of church. We come to church. He's giving us presents. The love of Jesus is no longer there. That sign, it's a whole different, it's two different things right now. Right. I do not know what to be celebrating. Should I be celebrating presents, or should I be celebrating the birth? Or the birth of Jesus was a present? I don't know.
Which one is it?
I don't know.
So basically, to counter that, Christmas is a day. It has nothing to do with the birth of Jesus Christ, the Messiah. Scholars believe Jesus was born in spring rather than in winter, because we are in summer now, right?
Yes,
in the southern hemisphere, but if you check in the northern hemisphere, they are in
winter.
It's winter.
So they celebrate their Christmas in winter. So what happens on the 22nd to the 25th of December? That's where they get the concept of Jesus being born on the 25th. So if you check, do you mind just to check what happens to the sun in the northern hemisphere from the 22nd of December to the 25th? So as what happens to the southern hemisphere on the 22nd to the 25th of December, the sun moves away from the northern hemisphere on the 22nd of December, and it rises again on the 25th of December. That's why they say the Son of God was born on the 25th of December. It was the Son, not the Son is a human being. So the idea of Christianity is more of a pagan So it was adopted by Christians, which came from the pagan worshippers of the sun god. So what happens to the sun on the 25th, from the 22nd to the 25th of December in the northern hemisphere is what happens to the sun on the 21st to the 23rd of September to the southern hemisphere.
Right.
That's why in Africa we celebrate our New Year not on the 1st of January. We celebrate our New Year on the 23rd of September because that's where the sun comes back from the other side.
Oh,
There's nothing really on it.
there's nothing actually. Nothing.
What happens to the sun on the northern hemisphere? On the northern hemisphere. So the concept that Jesus was born on the 25th is a pagan. And Christmas has nothing to do with Africans. Christmas was brought with colonialism. There was no Christmas in Africa before colonialism.
There's not even mention of Santa Claus and Christmas
So
in
here
the
we go.
Bible. If
If you have to look through it.
yeah.
The winter solstice, also called the hibernal solstice, occurs when either the earth's pole reaches its maximum. Yeah, this is what we need. The winter solstice, also called the hibernal solstice, occurs when either the earth's pole reaches its maximum tilt away from the sun. This happens twice yearly, once in each hemisphere, northern and southern. For that hemisphere, the winter solstice is the day with the shortest period of daylight and longest night of the year. When the sun is this one that we need here? We can leave it. Let me check here. We can leave that one.
Yeah. That was some interesting.
But
facts.
you can just go and check what happens to the sun.
No, what,
on the
what- what you're
22nd to
saying
the
that-
25th
yeah,
of December.
What you're saying, it's a very known, I think, very common. I'll call it a theory because obviously it hasn't been proven right now, isn't it? I think a lot of things are still theories. But the Christ Jesus being born in September time, obviously spring, right? And spring is, when you look at spring, new beginnings. You would think that, and I think a lot of people, you get a lot
So,
of birthdays during
this is what we
September
need,
as well. A lot of birthdays.
One
Okay.
widespread explanation of
I
the
didn't
origin
even
of this
notice it.
date is
Yeah.
that December
When were you born?
25 was
When
the
were you born?
September.
Oh, so it could be Jesus.
So, day of the birth of the unconquered sun, a popular holiday in the Roman Empire that celebrated the winter solstice as the symbol of the resurgence of the sun, the casting away of winter, and whatever. So, the Son of God, which is the sun, Ilanga, was born, or it departs from the northern hemisphere on the 22nd, and it goes around and comes back on the 25th. That is why the concept is 3 days, right? 23, 24, 25, right? And then that's why they say Jesus spent 3 days in the tomb. If you check, the same happens in Africa or in the southern hemisphere from the 22nd, 21st or 22nd, and then it comes back on the 23rd of September. So it's kind of the same concept, but with different approaches, I could say. So if we were to celebrate Christmas as Africans, it shouldn't be in winter.
Even-
it should be in
yeah.
our summer.
Yeah.
We should celebrate our Christmas in winter, as it is winter now in.
If
in
we
Europe.
also make reference to astrology, we'll look at Virgo, and Virgo obviously represents virgin woman.
Yeah.
When you look at the stars during that season, you find, of course, the stars making a shape of a woman, and obviously woman means creation and obviously Mother Nature. So obviously nature is, we obviously covered that the mother, obviously there's the father and there's the mother, and that the mother is nature, and that the father is the spiritual, maybe like breath, that will be breath, that will breathe. He restoreth my breath, the Bible says. So that's the heavenly Father's job, essentially, for the breath part of us. And I think when you look at that, Virgo, virgin woman. Obviously, Jesus Christ was born of a virgin as well. So it would make perfect sense. I think even if compared even astrology wise, it would make perfect sense. No.
There's also an interesting fact that there are 12 signs of the zodiac. And Jesus
12 disciples,
12 disciples.
I was born on the 12th of September, by the way. I'm just saying.
There's too many signs. From September, now it's the 12th. Okay.
Yeah. So, the concept of Christianity is not even something that has to do with the religion that Jesus was in, which is Judaism. The Jews don't celebrate Christmas. Yeah. It only came along with Christianity.
Right.
And why then do they say Jesus was born on the 25th of December if Jesus is believed to have been born in spring?
No, they didn't specifically say that Jesus was born.
But if you have to ask an African child right now, we're even being taught in school that Jesus was born on the 25th.
No, actually, fun fact, to answer that question perfectly, I actually asked my niece. My nephew actually asked me. He was like, "Puti," he said it in class, obviously. Mazu Yesu, meaning that, do you know Jesus? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, the Mazu Yesu. I'm like, I know Jesus, yeah. And then he's like, oh no, actually, in fact, at first I actually act lost. I'm like, I'm like, who's Jesus again? Yeah.
Not knowing what
he's like, do you know what he said? He's like, meaning the one that is God.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So obviously we are told that Jesus Christ is like God as well. So that's what we're told, and obviously we're told that he is born. And then he says it all. He said, how long? 25, and I'm like, okay. So a lot of people think Jesus was born on the 25th of December.
So that's why I said, I said this before we start. Africa theoretically is free, but practically Africa is still in slavery or still under colonial systems.
I have a question. How do you think we can step out of that?
I do believe the power lies with the people. And if the people are still in that sleeping mode, then there is no change, because no one's going to wake you up and say this is change and give you the change. The change only comes from within.
Right.
That's why there's a saying in Buddhism which says everything comes from within. As within, so without.
Is without, yes.
As above, so below. Yes. So everything that you want is within you. If you want change, you have the change that you are looking for. No one's going to come and give you that change. Right? If you want food, you don't sit down and say, I'm hungry. Food is not going to come. The only thing you can do is to go and look for food. Go and look for the meat, hunt, and then you can have that food.
Right.
So, Africa, or as black people, there is nothing about us that resonates with Christmas. And it's a big holiday in Africa. It's a big holiday. I don't know if Chinese people celebrate Christmas, or Indians, or the Arabs.
Oh, of course, Arabs. That's a definite.
I'm not sure, but I don't think religion. They celebrate Christmas.
When it comes to Arabs, are they mostly specifically Muslims?
Yeah. Do they celebrate Christmas? No,
they don't. Have Eid.
Yeah, but we're talking of
Christmas specifically.
Christmas.
Yeah.
I think
I think that's where they refer to this part of the year as a festive. That's where the word festive comes.
I think also because they give the workers, and when I say the black people, they give them the time. Yeah, so we're gonna give you 6 weeks of holiday, right? So that's what they say. It's like, okay, cool, do that. That's the time for you guys to get together and do whatever that you want, and then we'll go back to being a slave again.
Yeah. Don't you think it's a matter of losing a self-identity? Because we can talk of being globalized, we can talk of this modern civilization. We are civilized, of course. We are modernized, of course. The Chinese are also modernized. The Indians are modernized. The Arabs are modernized. But are they copying other people's culture? Of course they're not. Right. It is only Africa. So we need to revise and look from within and see what is wrong with us as a people. Are we
copying it willingly, though?
For sure. No one is forcing Africans to celebrate Africa, to celebrate Christmas.
But I think I think obviously it's deeper than just Christmas, and I think Christmas is one of the things that keep reminding us of the control that the white man still very much has psychologically, mentally, on the black person. And I think that we talked about it, Black Friday, one of the things.
Yeah.
We talked about, you know, Christmas obviously being one of the things as well. We are now, I'm finding now South Africans celebrating Halloween now. It is crazy now, you know. We're celebrating Halloween now.
It means we don't have an identity as a people. We are just copying everything that comes from
What
the
do we have
Europeans
as
or
our
from-
own?
We have nothing in Africa that gives us an identity as a people.
Okay, we had one recently.
Can I
Friday.
tell you
Yes.
something? Can I tell you-
16th of December.
What is that? Day of Reconciliation, no?
Yeah.
It's not an African festival. It's
South African.
Yeah, but is it a festival as in a religious practice, or it's a holiday to remember something that has happened, right?
It's something which happened for Africa, in basic.
I mean, Black Friday wasn't a religious thing, right?
Yeah, but it was
100%.
not imposed on anyone. So I'm talking of, guys, the concept of Christmas is not only about celebrating a day. It is also a spiritual aspect.
Of it. And spirit is everywhere.
That's why people are exchanging gifts, and the people believe that the Son of God was born on the 25th of December. So it is a lack of self-identity amongst the people of color. Africa Day, 25 May, is not a public holiday in all African countries. Do you know that?
Which one is that?
Africa
the
Day.
25th.
That's all. Do you mind just check how many African countries celebrate Africa Day?
Africa Day.
Africa Day is not a public holiday in almost all African countries.
I think it's 25th of May, isn't it?
25th of May, yeah. You can only find maybe South Africa in maybe other 2, 3, 4 countries. But Christmas is a big holiday all over Africa. And then we ask ourselves, are we mentally free? We are still mentally colonized. We are still mentally
The thing is,
in
man, I think
slavery.
it's a continuous conversation. But we don't have our independence, man. As a country, we don't. And until we get that, that's when we're gonna start making decisions of our own, I think.
Who should give us that independence?
That's an interesting conversation, and I have an interesting proposal as well. The people who I think can take power to themselves is that the people. Right? I'll let you sit with that for a second, because when I say that, I mean it in the deepest of, because obviously we tried looking for solutions. I think everybody tried solving what the problem is, and I think if you look at the revolutionary leaders and the people who were political maybe comrades, you know, they know this very, very well. The power lies within the people, and until the people say no, it's almost like what the shutdown, kind of like Julius Malema was trying to do in terms of, let's say I am not going to go to work. Yeah, obviously you're probably going to get hungry after like a month or two of doing that, right? But we are putting ourselves here essentially in a position to negotiate and to negotiate a better deal because we worked so hard for these big companies, and we work for our cleaners, right? Our ladies, our mothers, you know, sometimes even our children's grandmothers are working and they're getting peanuts. And once we say no to that, and we put ourselves in a position to say, we want raises, we want these, we want that, then we can say maybe we are then working with these people. However, until we reach a position where we are putting ourselves in a position to negotiate, because right now we're not. Right now we're just living hand to mouth. We're just like the dog, like we just, you know what I mean?
Who do we blame for that?
Blame ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
Blame
So
ourselves.
that's why I said we need to get rid of these festivals in Africa, because they are not benefiting the people of the land. Christmas is being celebrated, but it is being celebrated by those who are operating the industrial and the means of production, because they are going to accumulate more wealth from these holidays. Because you are going to shop, you are going to purchase goods that you don't need, and you are going to purchase more, especially on clothes and alcohol. And who is purchasing those things? It is the poor people, right? And we are always complaining that we are poor and someone is keeping us poor. Someone is not keeping us poor. in some essence, we are keeping ourselves poor. We need to get rid of these festivals because then 2 weeks from now, people are going to start crying of January disease. What is January disease? Where does it come from? It is a mental illness, right?
Mental illness.
So we
Yeah, but like January disease should be there. I mean, look at how many holidays have they put aside.
whose
For the whole year.
problem is that?
Black Friday, Pride Day. Okay, let's count all the holidays in December, or public holidays per se. Black Friday, can we count it with?
It was
I'm
November,
not
isn't it?
quite familiar with-
Yeah, we can count it. Just
Okay,
put it in there.
Black Friday, December 16,
Yeah.
Pride Day, Christmas Day, Boxing Day,
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
Not only that, most companies have closed their businesses on
Yeah.
the 15th of December. And most people
Cancer.
are on leave now as we are talking.
Cancer Day as well. The Cancer and HIV Day, which is the whole December actually. It's a campaign which happens.
So in December, we could say we are only working half month and we have half month of just spending and partying.
And 6 main holidays to be spending.
And Africa is still poor and we are crying that we are poor. Who do we blame for our position as a continent?
You blame us who's celebrating it, my
Yeah,
child.
we need to blame ourselves for celebrating these festivals because they are not benefiting us
But I think,
as a people.
yeah, it's festivals, right? But I think, yeah, obviously there's like a lot more, things like, obviously the festivals, maybe they can keep Christmas maybe for our families to come together.
Yeah, for
maybe they need an
Christmas.
excuse. Maybe our families need an excuse to come together once a year,
But
just
like,
to,
make it be aligned
right?
with
right.
all the days. Come on, because like the days within all of it, it's way too spread it out.
Right.
Like they want us to have the whole December being off.
Yeah.
They want us the whole December to be out. Why couldn't that simultaneously be all together, like continuously after each other without so much of a day?
I don't particularly have a problem with the festivals. They can keep their holidays. Honestly, the people need the rest.
No.
So which one would you celebrate out of all of them?
The ones, I don't know.
Which
man.
one have you celebrated? Or do you love celebrating?
I mean, obviously, as a youngin, you celebrate 31st, isn't it? Because
31st?
Yeah, a lot of crazy stories there, isn't it? I have 1 or 2.
Okay.
Oh, that first is January, yeah?
Yeah.
December.
Yeah.
31st December.
Oh, let's talk of New Year now. Let's talk of New Year.
Yes, that one is a bit, yeah. Obviously,
Do
we
you guys
always talk
celebrate
about,
New Year?
Yeah, we always talk about, it's contentious as well, the conversation, the beginning of the year. Which one is it? Is it in September? Is
Or
it in,
Yeah.
is it in January?
I actually celebrate my New Year on the 23rd of September.
Happy. So which year are you
I'm actually
now?
in 2025 as we're talking.
Oh, is you talking?
Yeah.
Oh, how's it been?
I think the future is bright, yeah?
Hey,
You're
to
in
that.
there, you're in there.
So guys, what I need us to, do you know there's a place in Mpumalanga called Inzalo Yelanga? Is it Umasizikazi?
Masizikazi.
Umasizikazi, right?
Sounds familiar.
Is it the place? I might have mistaken the name, but there's a place called Inzalo Yelanga in Mpumalanga, which means the birthplace of the sun.
Yes.
Right? So that is the oldest stone calendar on earth. It's believed to have been more than 270,000 years. I'm not sure about, but it's oldest on earth. So Africa was not using, or let me not say Africa, but people who were living on the continent were not using the Gregorian calendar or the Roman calendar. We were using the sun calendar. We were tracing the movement of the sun, the moon, and the stars to determine the day, the months, and the year. So you'll find out that a complete year has got 13 months, not 12 months. Why? Because each month has 28 days. 28 days times 13 will give you 365, I think. So that's why there is an inconsistency with the Gregorian calendar, because
364.
364. You find out that you have another month with 31st, another month with 30, another month with 27. There is an uneven balance with the Gregorian calendar. But if you go and check Ethiopia is the only country in the world that is like 7 years behind. Do you know
7
that?
years
Even
behind.
Yeah, they're not in 2024 yet.
In terms of technologies,
No, in
No.
terms of the calendar.
in terms of calendar-wise.
Okay.
They're using what can be believed is the original calendar.
Right.
As you believe, did you also know that the Ethiopian actually have a different Bible
Yeah.
concerning our Bible?
Really?
Yes.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and their Bible actually has more verses compared to our Bible. And which causes that is when I think you should ask to put it up for me. The time when Moses was king of, it was Israel back then, right? No, not Israel. After he moved the people to the land of milk and honey
I think from Egypt, right?
from Egypt, there was a queen from that side who moved from Ethiopia, a famous queen who moved who wanted to see the king.
Right.
And she had a story. And one night when she visited him afterwards, she actually ended up conceiving a baby with him and went back. That's why the book actually ends up telling us stories with a much more deeper version, which she got from the king herself.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Can I read you out this thing, guys?
Yeah.
About the New Year. The ancient Romans celebrated their New Year on March 1, but later changed it to January 1st to honor their god Janus, who had two faces, the one looking forward and the one looking backward. Yeah, there's some deep
So
stuff here.
imagine basing the beginning of your year based on a monster with
person,
two faces.
two-faced.
I mean,
Yeah.
That's so two-faced.
right? No pun intended. Right?
And now it says the Julian calendar. Julius Caesar introduced the Julian calendar, which established January 1st as the new year. And then we move on to the Gregorian calendar. Pope Gregory introduced the Gregorian calendar, which refined the Julian leap year calendar. So the African ancient calendar was Umasiskas, which deviates into the 4 seasons aligned with the zodiac signs of the lunar cycles. So the idea that our year starts on the 1st of January is not a concept of us as Africans. It's an adopted culture and an adopted festival.
Imposed, do you think?
Not imposed.
Definitely imposed, I think.
Not
Guys,
imposed.
do you notice though, the day of it basically doesn't actually has much pressure on it, because at the end of the day, like if you look at that map over there, if this is the 23rd of September,
Yeah.
right? And I have to turn around. Out of 365 days, I'll be back, it to be a year.
Yeah.
So with all the explanations, did they still all have the same amount of days?
So what the Africans were doing, they were actually in sync and in line with the movement of the sun and the moon and the stars. What happens in September, that's where you start to see the new flowers. That's when the stars, the trees starts to bloom their flowers.
Creation.
That's where new life
Yeah.
begins. So that's the beginning of a new year.
Virgin Mother, yeah.
Yeah. So on the 22nd, let me check if I'm right. I don't want to get this thing wrong. So Africans celebrate their new year on the 23rd of September. Yeah, so we have 4 seasons in the African calendar, namely I'm not good at close.
Let me read that. Let me
Yeah.
read that for you. What's the clause in there?
It was Sahlobo.
Yes, Ndwasahlobo, that's spring. Then you get Uhlobo, which is summer. You get Kwindla, which is autumn. And then you get, of course, Ubusika, which is winter. That's around June time, innit?
Yeah. So our calendar was not actually the Gregorian calendar. We were in line and in sync with nature. So basically, if you go and plant your seeds, when do we plant? If you plant your seed on the wrong seasons, we're never gonna get the results. So if you follow people who actually do astrology or astronomy, something like that. If you are born in a certain month on a certain day, you have certain attributes. If you were born in a certain year, at a certain day or certain place, you have certain attributes.
Is it?
Yeah. Like people who are born in March, they are, Aries, and they say people who are born in March, they are so ambitious. And you find that people who are born maybe in another month, they have their own attributes. So if you are offline from nature and if you are not in sync with nature, what do you expect with your life? You know, in Shona, the month is called what? Mwezi.
Yeah.
It's determined by what? By the movement of the moon.
Shit!
Right?
I never thought of that.
Yeah. That's why it's called Mwezi. The movement of the moon determines the month.
Yeah, that's
so
why
you don't need time to say we have 24 hours now, this is a day. Sunset to sunset, evening to evening, that's what makes a day. And what makes us a month is the beginning of the new moon. So in the beginning of every new moon, that's where we have a new month. That's
when even the Islamic even use the moon to determine, right? So then do you then think the Islamic is more natural in terms of his interpretation of time?
Yeah, for sure.
Than the Christian.
And you won't be off track if you are following your that's why I mentioned the Inzalo Yelanga calendar. It traces the movement of the sun, and it's so perfect. I think I don't actually know how to explain it, but just go and check Inzalo Yelanga, the birthplace of the sun. It explains the movement. So a new year is begun by the new sun. So on the 21st of September, the sun departs from the southern hemisphere and it went far to the northern. And then it does a journey and it rotates and it comes back on the 23rd. That's why in Africa they celebrate the New Year on the 23rd of September. So celebrating New Year on the 1st of January, to me, is bogus. It's not African.
No, that's just one of the things, isn't it? And I think September is it makes a very strong case, I think. And not just talking about me here, guys. I'm just saying.
Well done.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
There's a guy called Credo Mutwa.
Yeah, we know Credo Mutwa.
Just go and check Credo Mutwa. He's full of knowledge about Africans and how we were as a people before colonialism. I always fight with the people who think that Africa is free. I always fight to say, we are not free. If we are still celebrating our New Year on the 1st of January, that's not free.
No. I think the freedom even is when if you're still waking up in the morning and you say you're going to work and you're going to get some peanuts or something like that, and you can't do anything about it because you're subjected to that, then you know for sure that this is slavery in another level and you can't escape it. You know, slavery is when you impose to do something and you can't escape it because you have to.
You have to do it. There's no other choice. You have to
come to understand. So that is slavery, but on a different kind of like level. You see so many of us. I will drive around in town sometimes, and I'm part of the problem as well. You walk around, you see so many maybe contact center agents, and it's like so many of so much potential here, so many ideas you can harness from these people, but they just stuck in that endless cycle, because obviously they go to a home loan and they get rejected for a home loan, they get a business loan, get rejected for a business loan, things like that, and it's just really tough, man. You know, if I always say if we call this country equal and we call this country like why is it that I have to sign that I am black or I am white or I am when I'm signing up for a home loan and I'm signing up for a business loan, because you're gonna see, okay, he's black, right? Okay, I'll put that one away. Next, you understand? And it's we will say it right now, obviously, like we are joking, but it is a real thing. It's something that happens. So,
but on that subject and on that issue, I always want to emphasize that. Of course, we can blame colonialism. Of course, we can blame slavery. Of course, we can blame imperialism. But the first country to gain independence in Africa was Ghana. I think it's over 40 years now.
I think Ethiopia was never independent, so I think they would be the first. Yeah.
No, I'm talking of breaking away from the colonial
ones
rule.
Who were,
who were colonized. So I think the first was Ghana, and it's been 50 years now with independence, with the black rule. But what have they achieved? I feel like Africa at some point, when the so-called independence happened, it was just a swap. They just swapped the face of the white man and replaced with the face of a black man, and then continue with those systems that were left by the white man.
100%.
That's why we're even celebrating Christmas. We're celebrating New Year. We are still using the Gregorian calendar, which have nothing to do with us as Africans.
Remember we spoke about, I think off air, we spoke about how Europe in general is such a small kind of like continent that they can't build. We're very different from Europe. We are a very big, much bigger than country.
We actually getting much more bigger now.
100%. We've got so much more living space, right? And land that we can actually occupy. But the white man, what the white man does is we put us in these tiny little boxes, calling them houses. And the only way we can expand is to go up. This is how they expand in Europe as well, because there's no land to expand. And as a black person, I think I said it in the last episode as well. As a black person of deep cultural and deep traditional identity, you want to have a house with a big space, because in that house you wish to have a kraal where you can have your own livestock. You want to have your own. We can use that livestock to that kraal to as uhlanti as we call it. Of course, as Xhosa people, this is where our ancestors now are residing in the home. This is a very important place, because now when you put a black man in a box of matches, you are resisting them from having even the tiniest of space to welcome their ancestors to come and dwell with them in their homes. And we are moved from our original locations because we were supposed to live where our ancestors lived. But because of process of segregation, we were taken from our primary sources of living, and we were put in different spaces. The best thing you can do for us is to give us a spacious house where I can put a kraal and then welcome my people to come live with. But we don't even have that. So we don't have control over of course land. Land is everything. If you don't have control over the land, you don't have control over the stadiums or the football. You don't have control over the hotels. It's the land, because all of it falls on top of the land. So that's why I think the EFF was really focusing on the land, I think, and I think we should really focus on protecting it as well. And I think we need each other for that.
Yeah, that's a good point. What's the take?
Brilliant.
What's the take?
What's the take? To be honest with you, you took it right off my mouth, but to be right, let me try to think of this clearly.
Because I honestly think that as much as or as long as African people are still celebrating this, or as long as we are tolerating democracy and neoliberalism, right? We are never gonna have freedom or independence as African people, because now the war is not being fought with guns. Now the war is being fought economically. Now the war is being fought psychologically. Now the war is being fought through the social media. And as long as we don't control those things as African people, who is going to tell a story about Africa to the world? There is no one, because we are using the platforms which are owned by the Americans or the Europeans, and we are never going to change the narrative to push our agenda using their own platforms unless we create the alternatives. If you go to Russia, there is a replica of McDonald's, there's a replica of Coke. Everything that is in America, in Russia, they have the same product with the same quality.
It doesn't have to be a replica, though. It can literally be an original of that specific country. We just support that. You understand? So
we, but at the same time, if we take away Coke from our shelves and replace it with a shit product, people are not going to like it. So let's compete with what was left with colonialism. Let's fight to take it out of our shelves and replace those products with good quality and competent products that will satisfy the consumer. Because if we say we want to get rid of WhatsApp, if we want to get rid of TikTok, if we want to get rid of YouTube, what are we going to replace it with?
The thing is, you mentioned it, man. It's
how far away? 5 minutes, sure.
You mentioned it. I think just briefly, it's media. Media is a huge control, because when you see something that's called auto-suggestion, when you read these self-help books, they tell you, because when you see something again and again and again, advertising, you see something again and again. If you've seen the movie Focus by Will Smith, the guy literally kept on seeing the number 47, I think the number 47, kept on seeing it again and again in the day, and then he ended up choosing that number as a gambling number, and ended up, because they kept on suggesting that number to him. So when you keep suggesting something to people, obviously media, social media, advertising, then you have, obviously people would go across and maybe venture on towards that product. So when you take control of the media, you said that very, very powerfully. It's take control of the media. Take control of you countries like, I think it's North Korea, South Korea, I don't know which one it is.
North Korea is so strict.
It's amazingly strict. We need that strictness. It's called tough love, and we need that, right? It's because our kids are watching these things. I was catching my nephew, my nieces. I'll tell stories about my nephews and nieces. So they were watching something on, and it starts off as a zombie-ish kind of like dark kind of thing, and then it goes on to show like a nice so you ask yourself, what does that zombie-ish kind of like thing kind of like does to the child psychological, we think it doesn't matter, it's just a zombie, but no, but according to the child, they seem like, you know what I'm saying. So you take control of that as a country, take control of your media, take control of that, and you show only what you want to show. I see so many TV shows where households are being disrespectful, and it's like, this is not a typical South African home, right? This is not. So you take control of the media because we're not in control of it.
Have you seen the Olympics?
I didn't watch the Olympics this year.
Me too. I didn't.
It was scary.
I didn't.
It was scary. So Africans need to take responsibility, and we need to create our own spaces where we tell our own stories, because people in the diaspora, people outside of the region, actually think that Africa is one united continent or country. But when you come to Africa, no, we are not united. We are actually divided. So who is going to tell the good story about Africa?
But when it came to dividing us, they saw that was the best way for them to hinder us into living life under their rules, because they knew that, okay, back then, if you have to take it through, we never knew anything or use of passport, ID, any identification throughout the whole Africa. When they came through to colonizers, they thought we came through to see people like wearing, leather interior. That was the perception which they laid out. You wearing animal skin, fur coats and everything. Even when wifey, Young Family came through, we had our clothes, Baba, on. We had our own living lifestyle, which is different already. So in that way, when they divided us, they saw that was the only way which they could conquer. When I use Zulu, we're not Sipede, we're not Afrikaans, you are colored. Now let's mix them. If we take them all apart like this is the best way which they will stick together and not want to help the other people. Whereas at the end of the day, we're all coming from one soil. Look at them. When you look at people from UK or people from that side or America-wise, they don't know anything about clans. They don't know anything about that, but they oppose that to know each other from us. It's like the one thing of like, a white man knows absolutely nothing about himself, but knows everything about who?
About the black man.
About the black man. That nigga will tell me where I'm from.
I'm the black sheep, yeah?
I'll tell you the genes, bro. He'll tell you your genes.
I'm the black sheep.
I'm the black sheep. Like,
I tend to disagree. To disagree.
How come?
When there's nothing as African history. In general, Africa is no one common history except for colonialism.
Oh no, there's definitely
many.
African history.
Even the Bible.
Okay. Let me
Egypt. That's in Africa.
Let me state my case.
Yeah.
Xhosa people have their own history, which is different from the Zulu people, which is different from the Pedi, which is different from the Shona.
Because we were divided.
Which is different from... No, we're not divided.
We were divided.
No, people...
Basically calling me a Shona, you divided me from Ndebele.
Where did the Ndebele comes from? They break away from the Zulu kingdom. And they went and relocated to the southern side of Africa.
Dividing, right?
No, they were not divided. They choose to break away.
Okay.
Right? So, let's not... Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's not confuse the two.
Okay.
If you can check, there's the Karanga in Zimbabwe, right? And there is the Kalanga on the other side. I think the Kalanga are in South Africa and or Zambia, I'm not sure. And there's the Karanga in Zimbabwe. The only difference is the R and the L. Karanga, Kalanga. It's the same people who broke away. So people were living in small tribal groups, not in this large number. Africa never had one king. Africa never had one leader. Africa never had one economical system. Africa was diverse. So I don't think Africa has one history. Africa is diverse. So
that doesn't contribute. The diversity doesn't contribute with us thinking different.
I would say divide and conquer does not. Maybe I'm wrong, but okay, guys. I think we're gonna carry this on the next episode.
Yeah,
that was
but
nice
the truth,
chat.
divide and conquer did work, and divide and conquer was brilliant. And I'm saying this in of course, I don't mean it in as to compliment it, but it was a brilliant system. It works. It's still working. We need to get out of it because we are still very much divided. And once we come together, then power to the people. Miss Lauren Hill said that. So the love of the people is gonna save us from all of that. So we need to come together and form a love for each other, and we need to know, because my children suffer because of the lack of knowledge. That's what the Heavenly Father said. It's not because of racism, not because of that, but because of lack of knowledge. We lack knowledge. But what is the knowledge? We'll get to that in a bit.
Let's go back to our African roots. Let's go back and celebrate our own festivals as African people. Let's get rid of Christianity. Let's get rid of Christmas and New Year. It's your boy Tribbler, and this is Abongile and
Like a J.
Thanks, guys, for watching this episode, and keep watching as we're gonna do more and more episodes on this platform. Thank you, guys.
100%.
Peace.